Thanks so much for joining me for tonight's set of scary stories. Remember, we post longer videos 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We read 30 minutes of short stories, then an hour and a half of nature sounds. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because we are always happy to get suggestions for new story ideas. With that, let's get on to our night of terror and dreams. The eerie thicket. In the heart of the ancient forest, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind and the earth hummed with the song of centuries past, there lay a thicket untouched by time. Its gnarled branches twisted and intertwined, casting twisted shadows on the forest floor. A haunt of dread and foreboding amidst the serenity of the wilderness. Among the group of friends from the nearby town, tales of the eerie thicket were spoken in hushed tones, passed down through generations like a chilling warning. They spoke of a place where darkness reigned, where the veil between the mortal world and the realm of the unknown was thin, and where horrors beyond imagination awaited those foolish enough to seek them out. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves danced in a whirlwind of decay, and the air was thick with the scent of rot and decay, 5 friends set out on an adventure into the heart of the forest. Sarah, the spirited leader of the group, was joined by her closest friends. Alex, the quiet and thoughtful one. Emily, the free-spirited artist with a penchant for danger. David, the adventurous thrill-seeker. And Mia, the empathetic soul who always saw the beauty in the world around her. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to lean in closer, their branches twisted and contorted like gnarled fingers reaching out to ensnare the unwary travelers. The air was heavy with a sense of impending doom, and the sunlight filtered through the canopy in sickly shades of green and gray, casting an eerie pall over the path before them. With each step they took, the darkness of the forest seemed to seep into their bones, filling them with a sense of dread and unease. Yet, despite the overwhelming sense of foreboding that surrounded them, they pressed on, their curiosity driving them forward into the heart of the unknown. At long last, after what felt like an eternity of wandering through the labyrinthine depths of the forest, the friends stumbled upon the eerie thicket, its twisted form sending shivers down their spines. The trees loomed overhead like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers clawing at the sky, while strange and unsettling noises echoed through the gloom. As they entered the thicket, a sense of dread washed over them, their hearts pounding in their chests as they ventured further into its depths. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the ground beneath their feet seemed to shift and writhe with unseen horrors. But as the day drew to a close and the sun dipped below the horizon, the friends knew that their time in the eerie thicket was coming to an end. With trembling hands and racing hearts, they made their way back to the world beyond the forest, their minds reeling from the horrors they had witnessed. And as they emerged from the darkness of the thicket, their hearts were filled with a newfound appreciation for the light, and their souls were forever haunted by the nightmares of the eerie thicket. For in that chilling moment, they had experienced something truly terrifying, something that would haunt them for the rest of their days. Lost in the wilderness, in the heart of the sprawling wilderness, where the trees stood tall and proud, their branches reaching towards the sky, there lay a hidden valley untouched by the passage of time. Its rugged terrain and dense foliage made it a haven for those seeking solitude and adventure. But for 5 lost camp counselors, it would become a labyrinth of uncertainty and fear. Among the group of counselors from the nearby summer camp, tales of the hidden valley were spoken of in hushed tones, a secret known only to those who dared to venture beyond the beaten path. They spoke of a place where the rules of nature seemed to bend and twist, and where the boundaries between reality and fantasy blurred into nothingness. One fateful afternoon, as the sun beat down mercilessly and the air was thick with the scent of pine and earth, 5 camp counselors set out on a hike into the heart of the wilderness. Mark, the seasoned outdoorsman, led the group with confidence, his knowledge of the land serving as their guide. He was joined by his fellow counselors: Sarah, the enthusiastic nature lover; Jake, the laid-back jokester with a heart of gold; Emily, the cautious thinker who always planned for the worst; and Mia, the empathetic soul who never left anyone behind. As they ventured deeper into the wilderness, the landscape shifted around them, the familiar trails giving way to untamed wilderness. The air was alive with the sound of birdsong and the rustle of leaves, and the sunlight filtered through the canopy in golden shafts of light, illuminating the path before them like a beacon in the darkness. With each step they took, the group grew more confident in their ability to navigate the wilderness, their laughter and chatter filling the air as they made their way along the winding path. They shared stories and jokes, their spirits high as they embarked on this journey into the unknown. But as the afternoon wore on, and the sun began to sink towards the horizon, disaster struck. A wrong turn led them deeper into the wilderness, away from the safety of the familiar trails, and deeper into the heart of the unknown. As panic set in, and the realization of their predicament dawned on them, the group frantically searched for a way back to civilization, but their efforts were in vain. Night fell like a shroud over the wilderness, casting everything into darkness and leaving them utterly lost and alone. With each passing hour, their fear grew, their hearts heavy with the weight of uncertainty. They huddled together for warmth and comfort, their minds racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. But as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. Through sheer determination and unwavering teamwork, the group managed to find their way back to civilization, their ordeal finally at an end. As they emerged from the wilderness, weary but triumphant, the group knew that they had faced their fears head-on and emerged stronger for it. For in the heart of the wilderness, where danger lurked around every corner, they had discovered the true meaning of friendship and perseverance, and they would carry those lessons with them for the rest of their days. In foreboding woods of whispering pines, 4 men set out on a hunting trip, seeking adventure in the heart of the wilderness. Among them were Jake, the grizzled veteran with a taste for danger; Tom, the pragmatic leader who always had a plan; Mike, the skeptical skeptic who scoffed at the idea of ghosts and spirits; and Tim, the nervous newcomer who had never set foot in the woods before. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the trees seemed to close in around them, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to snatch them away into the darkness. The air was thick with the scent of pine and earth, and the sounds of the forest echoed through the gloom, a haunting symphony that set their nerves on edge. But as night fell, and the shadows grew long, the men began to sense that they were not alone in the woods. Strange noises echoed through the darkness, and eerie lights danced among the trees, their ghostly glow casting twisted shadows on the forest floor. At first, the men dismissed these signs as nothing more than figments of their imagination, the product of an overactive mind in the darkness of the woods. But as the night wore on and the strange occurrences grew more frequent, they knew that something sinister was lurking in the shadows, waiting to claim them as its prey. One by one, the men began to disappear, spirited away into the darkness by an unseen force. Jake was the first to go, vanishing without a trace as he ventured deeper into the woods in search of firewood. Tom followed soon after, his screams echoing through the night as he was dragged away into the darkness by unseen hands. Mike and Tim were left alone in the darkness, their hearts pounding in their chests as they struggled to make sense of the nightmare unfolding around them. But as they searched for a way out of the woods, they realized that they were being hunted by something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. As they stumbled through the darkness, their minds filled with terror, they came face to face with the haunting figure that had been stalking them through the woods. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and its twisted form seemed to flicker in and out of existence like a ghostly apparition. With nowhere left to run, Mike and Tim knew that their fate was sealed. They stood frozen in terror as the haunting figure closed in on them, its unearthly presence filling them with a sense of dread unlike anything they had ever experienced. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the woods fell silent once more, the haunting figure disappearing into the shadows as if it had never been there at all. But the memory of that fateful night would haunt Mike and Tim for the rest of their days, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked in the darkness of whispering pines. Echoes of the forest. In the heart of the dense forest, where the trees stood tall and proud, their branches reaching toward the sky like skeletal fingers, there lay a sinister presence that few dared to speak of. It was a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin, and where the echoes of the past whispered through the trees like a haunting melody. Among the group of 5 women who ventured into the woods that fateful day were friend Sarah, the determined leader with a fierce sense of loyalty; Emily, the intuitive one who always sensed danger lurking just beyond the shadows; Jessica, the adventurous spirit who craved excitement and thrills; Lisa, the pragmatic realist who relied on logic to navigate through life's challenges; and Rachel, the quiet observer who often saw things others overlooked. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding, and the trees seemed to lean in closer, their twisted branches casting twisted shadows on the forest floor. Despite their growing unease, the women pressed on, their footsteps echoing in the eerie silence of the forest. But as night fell, and the darkness closed in around them, the women realized that they were hopelessly lost, their sense of direction shattered by the oppressive gloom of the forest. Panic set in as they searched for a way out, their hearts pounding in their chests as they struggled to make sense of their predicament. And then, they stumbled upon it. A clearing in the woods, where a circle of eerie figures stood waiting for them. Their faces were twisted and distorted, their features mirroring those of the women themselves, but their eyes burned with a malevolent light that sent shivers down their spines. As the women watched in horror, the figures closed in around them, trapping them in a nightmarish embrace. They spoke in hushed whispers that echoed through the darkness, their words a chilling reminder of the fate that awaited them. With nowhere left to run, the women stood frozen in terror as the figures began to chant, their voices rising in a haunting chorus that filled the air with dread. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the women realized with a sinking heart that they were doomed to join the haunting coven that lurked in the depths of the forest, their souls forever trapped in a twisted dance of death and despair. Shadows of the night. In the heart of the dense forest, where the trees loomed tall and imposing, their branches intertwined like gnarled fingers reaching out to ensnare the unwary, there lay a darkness that seemed to seep into the very soul of the woods. It was a place where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred, and where the echoes of the past whispered through the shadows like a haunting refrain. Among the 3 unfortunate souls who found themselves lost in the depths of the forest were friends Jack, the stoic and rational thinker who always had a plan; Sarah, the fiercely independent woman with a sharp wit and a steely resolve; and Alex, the nervous and jittery one who often saw shadows lurking where there were none. As they ventured deeper into the woods, the air grew thick with a sense of foreboding, and the trees seemed to close in around them, their twisted branches casting long shadows that danced in the fading light. Despite their growing unease, the trio pressed on, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of fallen leaves that covered the forest floor. But as the day turned to night and darkness descended upon the forest like a suffocating blanket, the tension among the group reached a fever pitch. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent shivers down their spines, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched by something lurking in the shadows. And then, they saw it, a figure moving among the trees, its form shrouded in darkness, and its eyes burning with a malevolent light. It moved with an unnatural grace, gliding silently through the undergrowth like a predator stalking its prey, and the trio knew with a sinking heart that they were not alone in the woods. As the night wore on and the figure drew closer, the tension among the group escalated to a breaking point. Paranoia and fear consumed them, driving them to the brink of madness as they struggled to find a way out of the forest and escape the clutches of the haunting figure that hunted them. But as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the trio realized with a sinking heart that they were trapped in the forest with no hope of escape. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows danced and the echoes of the past whispered through the trees, the trio had become prey to something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. The depths of despair, in the heart of the rugged wilderness, where the landscape was carved by the passage of time, and the echoes of ancient whispers lingered in the air, there lay a cave untouched by the light of day. Its yawning mouth beckoned to those who dared to venture into its depths, promising secrets untold and horrors beyond imagination. Among the group of unsuspecting travelers who found themselves drawn to the cave were friends Sam, Sarah, and Chris, and couple Jessica and Alex. They had signed up for a guided tour of the cave, eager to explore its mysteries and marvel at its beauty. Their tour guide, a charming and enigmatic figure named Lucas, led them deep into the heart of the cave, his voice a soothing melody that echoed off the walls of the cavern. But as they ventured deeper into the darkness, a sense of unease settled over the group like a heavy fog, and they began to realize that something was terribly wrong. As they descended into the depths of the cave, the air grew thick with the stench of decay, and the shadows seemed to writhe and twist around them like living things. Despite their growing apprehension, the group pressed on, unable to resist the pull of the darkness that surrounded them. But as the tour progressed and the cave grew darker, the true nature of their guide was revealed. Lucas was no ordinary tour guide, but a shape-shifting creature with evil intentions, disguised in human form to lure unsuspecting victims into its lair. With a flick of its wrist, Lucas sealed the entrance to the cave, trapping the group inside with no hope of escape. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of their situation, their screams echoing off the walls of the cavern as they struggled to find a way out. But it was too late. As the group huddled together in terror, Lucas revealed its true form, its twisted and grotesque features bathed in the sickly light of the cave. With a maniacal laugh, it revealed its intention to sacrifice them all to the depths of hell, where their souls would be condemned for all eternity. As the group fought desperately for their lives, Lucas began the ritual, chanting in a language long forgotten as the shadows danced around them in a macabre frenzy. With each passing moment, the darkness closed in around them, and the travelers knew that their fate was sealed. And as the last echoes of their screams faded into the darkness, the cave fell silent once more, its secrets buried deep within its ancient depths. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows lurked and the echoes of despair whispered through the cavern, the souls of the travelers would become just another offering to the depths of hell, lost to the world forever. The House of Shadows. In the heart of the desolate woods, where the trees loomed tall and twisted, their branches clawing at the sky like skeletal fingers, there stood an abandoned house shrouded in darkness. Its crumbling facade and boarded-up windows seemed to exude an aura of malevolence, a silent warning to any who dared to tread too close. Among the two groups of 3 travelers who sought refuge in the abandoned house that fateful night were friends Mia, Ryan, and Emma, and siblings Mark, Lily, and Alex. They had been wandering through the woods, seeking shelter from the brewing storm that threatened to unleash its fury upon them. As they stepped through the creaking door of the abandoned house, a sense of unease settled over them like a heavy blanket. The air was thick with dust and decay, and the silence of the empty rooms seemed to press in on them from all sides. Despite their misgivings, the travelers settled in for the night, huddling together in the dim light of the fading day. But as the hours ticked by and the storm raged outside, tensions among the group began to rise. Whispers of paranoia and suspicion filled the air, each member of the group casting accusing glances at their companions as they searched for the source of their unease. Mia accused Ryan of hoarding food, while Emma accused Lily of hiding a weapon. Mark in turn accused Alex of plotting against him, and Ryan accused Mia of being in league with the sinister figure that seemed to haunt the abandoned house. As the night wore on and the storm raged outside, the paranoia among the group reached a fever pitch. Accusations turned to violence, and before long members of both groups lay dead on the cold, dusty floor of the abandoned house. But as the survivors looked around at the carnage that surrounded them, they realized with a sinking heart that they were not alone in the abandoned house. A shadowy figure stood in the corner, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light as it watched the chaos unfold. With nowhere left to run and no one left to turn to, the survivors knew that their fate was sealed. As the figure closed in on them, its twisted form reaching out to claim their souls, they realized with horror that they had been lured into the abandoned house for a reason. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows danced and the echoes of the past whispered through the walls, their souls would become the final offering to the sinister figure that lurked in the shadows, waiting to devour them whole. The Witch's Tempest. In the heart of the dense forest, where the trees whispered ancient secrets and the air crackled with energy, there stood a small, dilapidated shack. Its timbers were weathered and warped, and the windows were dark and empty, giving the impression of a place long abandoned. 7 weary travelers, caught in the midst of a raging storm, stumbled upon the shack as they sought refuge from the relentless downpour. Among them were friends Sarah, Matt, and Emily, and siblings Jack, Kate, Alex, and Lily. They had been hiking through the wilderness when the storm descended upon them with a ferocity that seemed almost supernatural, driving them to seek shelter in the nearest haven they could find. As they stepped inside the shack, a chill settled over them, and the air seemed to grow thick with an otherworldly presence. The interior was sparse and dimly lit, with cobwebs clinging to the corners and shadows lurking in every corner. Despite their unease, the travelers settled in for the night, grateful for the respite from the storm. They huddled together for warmth, their eyes darting nervously around the room as they listened to the howling wind outside. But as the night wore on and the storm raged unabated, strange things began to happen within the confines of the shack. Objects moved of their own accord, and eerie whispers echoed through the darkness, sending shivers down the spines of the travelers. As the hours passed, the group's unease grew into full-blown terror. Sarah claimed to have seen a figure lurking outside the window, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Matt swore he heard the sound of scratching coming from the walls, as if something were trying to claw its way inside. One by one, the travelers began to disappear, spirited away by some unseen force that seemed to stalk them through the darkness. Panic set in, as the survivors realized that they were trapped in the shack with something far more sinister than they could have ever imagined. With each passing moment, the darkness closed in around them, and the travelers knew that their only hope of escape lay in confronting the evil that lurked within the shack's walls. But as they searched for a way out, they realized with a sinking heart that they were no longer alone. For in the heart of the storm, where the winds howled and the rain beat relentlessly against the windows, the witch waited patiently for her next victims, eager to claim their souls as her own and trap them in the darkness forevermore. The Haunting of Blackwood Barn. In the heart of the dense forest, where the trees stood tall and imposing, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to claw at the sky, there lay a clearing untouched by the passage of time. In the center of this clearing stood an abandoned barn, its weathered boards creaking in the gentle breeze as if whispering secrets to the night. Lost and disoriented, John stumbled upon the clearing as darkness descended upon the woods. His footsteps echoed hollowly in the stillness of the night as he approached the barn, seeking shelter from the encroaching shadows. The barn loomed before him like a monolith of darkness, its windows empty and soulless, its doors hanging askew on rusted hinges. But to John's weary eyes, it offered the promise of safety and refuge from the unknown terrors that lurked in the depths of the forest. With a hesitant hand, John pushed open the creaking doors of the barn and stepped inside, his heart pounding in his chest as he peered into the darkness. The air was heavy with the scent of dust and decay, and the floorboards groaned ominously beneath his feet as he made his way further into the shadows. As the night wore on and the darkness pressed in around him, John felt a growing sense of unease settle over him like a suffocating blanket. Strange noises echoed through the darkness, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end as he felt the weight of unseen eyes watching him from the shadows. Outside the barn, glowing-eyed figures emerged from the darkness, their forms flickering and shifting like phantoms in the night. They taunted John with whispered promises of salvation and damnation, their voices like echoes of forgotten nightmares that sent shivers down his spine. But as the hours passed and the night deepened, John's fear turned to terror as a chilling figure emerged from the shadows, its presence filling the barn with a sense of overwhelming dread. Its eyes burned with an otherworldly light, and its twisted form seemed to twist and contort with each step it took. With a voice like ice, the figure spoke to John, its words sending a chill down his spine as it revealed its intention to claim his soul for its own. Paralyzed with fear, John could only watch in horror as the figure closed in on him, its shadowy form reaching out to claim him for the darkness. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the barn fell silent once more, its secrets buried deep within its decaying walls. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows danced and the echoes of the past whispered through the night, John's soul would become just another offering to the chilling figure that lurked in the shadows, waiting to claim its next victim. Shadows of the Forgotten Village. In the heart of the dense forest, where the trees stood tall and imposing, their branches intertwined like gnarled fingers reaching out to ensnare the unwary, there lay an abandoned village shrouded in mystery and shadow. Its crumbling buildings and overgrown pathways spoke of a time long forgotten, a relic of the past, hidden away from the prying eyes of the world. Lost and disoriented, a group of weary travelers stumbled upon the village as darkness descended upon the woods. Among them were friends Rachel, David, and Sarah, and siblings Michael, Lisa, and Emily. They had been hiking through the wilderness when they strayed from the path, their sense of direction shattered by the oppressive gloom of the forest. As they stepped through the crumbling gates of the village, a chill settled over them, and the air seemed to grow thick with an otherworldly presence. The buildings loomed before them like silent sentinels, their windows dark and empty, their doors hanging open on rusted hinges. Despite their unease, the travelers pressed on, seeking refuge from the encroaching darkness. They found shelter in the crumbling remains of an old tavern, its walls covered in layers of dust and cobwebs, its floors littered with the detritus of years gone by. As night fell, and the darkness pressed in around them, strange things began to happen within the confines of the village. Shadows danced and flickered in the corners of their vision, and eerie whispers echoed through the empty streets, sending shivers down their spines. And then, as the last light of day faded from the sky, the figures emerged from the darkness. Ghostly apparitions drifted through the streets, their forms flickering and shifting like phantoms in the night. Their eyes burned with an otherworldly light, and their twisted forms seemed to twist and contort with each step they took. With a voice like ice, the figures spoke to the travelers, their words sending a chill down their spines as they revealed their intention to claim their souls for their own. Paralyzed with fear, the travelers could only watch in horror as the figures closed in on them, their shadowy forms reaching out to claim them for the darkness. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the village fell silent once more, its secrets buried deep within its decaying walls. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows danced and the echoes of the past whispered through the night, the souls of the travelers would become just another offering to the chilling figures that lurked in the shadows, waiting to claim their next victims. The Keeper of the Woods. In the outskirts of the small town of Oak Ridge, nestled deep within the haunted woods that bordered the town, there lived an old man, known only as Old Ben. His ramshackle cabin stood as a testament to his solitary existence, surrounded by the whispers of the trees and the shadows that danced among them. Unknown to the townsfolk, Old Ben was not alone in the woods. He was a keeper of a dark secret, a guardian of a creature that lurked in the depths of the forest, feeding on the souls of the unsuspecting victims that wandered too close to its lair. As the summer sun dipped below the horizon, a group of 10 campers arrived at the edge of the haunted woods, their laughter and chatter filling the air with an air of excitement. Among them were friends Tom, Jess, and Mike, and siblings Anna, Matt, and Lucy, along with their friends Jake, Sarah, Emily, and Alex. They had heard the rumors of the haunted woods, but dismissed them as nothing more than tales told to scare children. Setting up camp at the edge of the woods, the group laughed and joked as they roasted marshmallows over the crackling fire. But as darkness descended upon the forest, a sense of unease settled over them, and the laughter died away, replaced by whispers of fear and uncertainty. As the night wore on and the shadows grew long, strange things began to happen within the woods. Eerie noises echoed through the darkness, and flickering lights danced among the trees, their ghostly glow casting twisted shadows on the forest floor. Unbeknownst to the campers, Old Ben watched from the shadows, his eyes gleaming with a sinister light as he prepared to lure them into the clutches of the creature that lurked within the depths of the woods. With a voice like gravel, Old Ben emerged from the darkness, warning the campers of the dangers that lurked within the woods. But his words fell on deaf ears, as the group dismissed him as nothing more than a crazy old man. As the night deepened and the campers settled in for the night, a sense of foreboding settled over them like a heavy blanket. Shadows danced and flickered in the darkness, and whispers echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. And then, as the last embers of the fire died away, the creature emerged from the depths of the forest, its twisted form looming over the campers like a specter of death. With a deafening roar, it descended upon them, its eyes burning with an otherworldly light as it claimed its next victims. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the haunted woods fell silent once more, their secrets buried deep within their ancient depths. For in the heart of the darkness, where the shadows danced and the echoes of the past whispered through the trees, the souls of the campers would become just another offering to the creature that lurked in the shadows, waiting to claim its next victims.